Hi, this is Terry on It's About Writing today, and we have Jean Alfieri, author and speaker. And do you draw too? Are those
I
your drawing?
don't draw. I
Okay.
know that is not my forte, not at all.
Well, and dog lover, right? I even
Definitely.
see one behind you. So,
Yes.
Jean, tell us about your work and, well, even how did you even get into writing?
Sure. So it all started a number of years ago, and it started with Zuggy the Rescue Pug. And here are a couple of the books that started it all. Bellyache Blues is one. The most recent is Adoption Day. So this is Zuggy's origin
Oh,
story. And really, and I want to mention too, both of these are Mom's Choice Award winners. So I'm very proud of that. I
congratulations.
had a pug who just stole my heart. And when he passed away, I was miserable, not just for having lost him, but the fear of his memories going away. And
Mm.
so I started journaling, and I found that to be very therapeutic. I mean, I cried, but it also felt good to capture his memories. Our family is one that loves rescue dogs, so we adopt seniors, so we probably go through this process more often than other families. But what part of our heritage or tradition is when a dog has passed is at dinner, we will tell our favorite stories about that dog. And it is heartwarming and sad at the same time. But what's been fun for me over the years to hear is everybody's memories.
Mhm.
And what I thought was the most fun story, somebody else has a completely different memory that is just as fun or better than the one I remembered. And so I started writing them all down. And after a while, it really became clear that they could make great children's stories if I could get the right illustrator to make it come alive. And I have, and the poster behind us from some
Great.
of the stories, and getting out to the schools and sharing Zuggy with the kids has just been a real joy for me. I volunteer at our local humane society, and so I tell them a little bit about the work that I do there and then about Zuggy. And they love it. A pug is just such a great character in the first place, with the big eyes and the smooshy face and the curly tail. So they just love it. It's been a lot of fun.
That's great. So you've written the two books.
Actually, there are four. Um, Four on the Floor is another one. Six Tails is another one. And that's just in the Zuggy line. So I also have self-guided journals. I started having kind of moving forward with that thought of, hey, we lose these memories in just a generation of time. It just got
Mhm.
me thinking about how people lose that connection in such a short period of time, and how much I would love to have had something from my grandparents similar to what I was creating for my dog. Just what was their life like? What did they do? What are some of their fabulous memories? Knowing that I've got my own that I've never shared. And so I created Blessed to Be Me. It's a guided journal, and it just has a series of story prompts, inspirational quotes, places to color and doodle. And as I was, well, this was coming out last year, right as the pandemic was starting. And I went, well, maybe I should put this on hold. And my coaches and my editor said, oh, no, no, this is exactly what people need right now. And
Mhm.
so I put it out there, and closer to the end of the year, I was able to get into a couple of small local bookstores. And as I was meeting people who were very interested in the journal, they'd always ask, is there a place to capture your dog's story? Well, yeah, there was, of course, but it was more along the lines of the family dog that you grew up with, not maybe a dog that you had now. And they always, they went, oh, well, that would be fun. Of course it would be fun. I agreed with them, but it was funny that I wouldn't think that anyone else would want to capture those stories but me. And of course, if you're a dog lover, you're going to want a place to capture those stories. So last month, I released Blessed to Be Your Dog,
Oh,
which is
yeah.
about celebrating the stories of your fur hero. And what's really unique about this journal that I just delight in is that there are a series of prompts, and they're in two parts. So in the first part of the book, you are capturing the stories as you would tell them yourself.
Mhm.
In the second part of the book, it's from the dog's point of view. So you're changing perspective and actually answering in your dog's voice, because we'd all know what they'd say and how they'd say it.
Right.
And so there are prompts for them to answer, and it just makes it unique.
Oh, that's so great. I know I have at least two boys that would love that one. They have doggies that are very, very much part of their family.
Yes, yes.
So
And they do at different times in our life. We have a lot going on. I know when my son was growing up, it was great to have dogs around because they kept each other company. Now our son is out of the house, and so our dogs are our fur kids. That's what we call them, our fur kids. So
yeah.
yeah, they are very much part of the family.
Yeah, so great. Can you show us a page or two out of one or both of those journals?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to flip through it so people can see.
Oh, nice.
There's plenty of pages to color. There's um, places to document. I have to say, and I'd be delighted if anyone is interested in receiving a sample chapter, email me at Jean, Jean, at blessed to be me. It's BLESSED to be me.com. And I'd be happy to send them a sample chapter if they'd like to receive an e-chapter.
Okay. And
And that
I'll attach that email address to the video.
fabulous. Thank you. One of my favorite quotes, I've got quotes with each blessing, and this one is by Ambrose Bierce, and it is, "The most affectionate creature in the world is a wet dog."
Yeah. When you don't want him to be, right?
Yes.
Funny. Oh, that's good. And so flip through the other one too,
Sure. My pleasure.
just to
So
kind of
this,
see what we would be doing. Okay. Kind of a
yes,
workbook.
it is. It's got a lot. It starts with prompts, and then there are many questions as well,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then quotes and places to doodle and color.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I know, at least for women these days, the adult color books are so in.
Yes, yes. And they
Fun.
provide a good mental stimulation. They kind of break up the activity. I have one of my friends who brought it to her church group, and they've been actually using it as part of their Bible study just to get to know each other better. So they pick a question and they answer it. It's interesting story starter for them. And I like it around the dinner table. I offer in my newsletter a different prompt every month because it's just kind of fun if you're sitting at dinner or having a glass of wine, just having something to talk about.
Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. So is that on your website if we
It
wanted
is.
to sign up for your newsletter? Okay,
Yes.
so I'll put your website on there too.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, my website links to two other websites for Blessed to be Me and Zuggy, because he has to have his own website because he's way more popular than me, as well it should be. But yes, if anyone goes to my website, which is jeanalfieri.com, they'll get to both places. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so what about your writing journey?
It's been an interesting one. I started writing when I was 7 years old, and I was entering contests in junior high. I really enjoyed it. And then I got into high school and then college, and it kind of just faded away. It isn't that I lost my love for writing, but it just wasn't in the forefront of what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And then I realized that, just how much I missed it when I started journaling and thinking that, this could be something that I could put out for consumption and into a broader audience. It's a little nerve-wracking because to write for yourself is safe and comfortable.
Mhm.
But then to expose it to the world, it's like, oh my goodness. But I have to say, I've really enjoyed that piece, and I'd encourage anyone who dreams or aspires of doing that to just move ahead. It isn't without work and it isn't without worry, but that's what makes it all worthwhile. I would suggest continuing to practice. Right, Terri? It's all about getting better. I look at things I wrote a couple years ago and go, "Wow, that was really bad," and I think that's okay. I don't feel badly about it, but if I wasn't getting better, I wouldn't recognize it as being poor. So keep doing it and really expose yourself to what you can. Find a critique group, get feedback, be open to the feedback, and be willing to take that direction to become better. And when the time is right, you'll know if you want to share it with the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So what made you get over that first initial hump and get out there and share it?
It was more my curiosity than anything else. I was not familiar with self-publishing. For my first book, I got a publisher that was a hybrid publisher. So it wasn't strictly a vanity publisher who would just say, hey, pay me and we'll give you this. The contract with the hybrid was, we'll get you an illustrator and we'll get you online, which e-versions weren't as easy as they are now to produce. And in return, as the money is made, as your book earns, we'll pay you back, which they did. So they got me on Amazon, they got me in Barnes and Noble. It was a great experience. That is where I met my illustrator. When that contract ended, she reached out to me and said, hey, I really enjoyed being your illustrator. Of course, I didn't know who she was because they wouldn't let us connect through that contract. They had to just take our feedback back and forth. And so that was a blessing, being able to reach her, and that she reached out to me, and that we've been able to partner ever since. And so that it was more my curiosity. Once I started dealing with that publisher, then I kind of wanted to know how to do it myself, because I actually thought I could do it better. Whether I can or not is still up for debate. But really, authors anymore are promoting our own stuff. We're advertising our own stuff. It's really our responsibility to get out there and be engaged on social media. And so I've really enjoyed it more doing it myself. And that's kind of what prompted it. It's like, well, okay, let's see. And again, it's about refining, about getting better, about not spending your time where you feel like you're wasting it versus where you're really connecting with people. And that's what's important to me. It's about being able to connect with those kids, especially now that I can't get into local schools physically like I was before, which was so much fun. How do you convert that? How do you switch and go to virtual author visits? And I have to say, I had my first virtual author visit, finally a couple of months ago, after trying all last year. And I think teachers were just so inundated with how do you pivot and make this happen online, that it was just too much, to take on anything more. And now they're kind of looking for, hey, what will break up the monotony? It was a blast, Terri. I thought, oh my gosh, 40 virtual students, second graders from different places. How am I going to be able to control this? And then I'm like, control it, whatever. It's going to be a blast. It'll be whatever it is. They were more well-mannered than half the adults I work with online. They knew to mute themselves when they came on. They knew how to raise their hand. It was lovely. It was just so much fun.
Wow, that's great. I know. And that it's just so neat for kids to meet people, like to know that the authors are real people.
Yes.
And to, hope that they would aspire to writing or whatever, that everybody they think is famous is really just a person,
Right.
So
And they love
important.
being engaged. I have an exercise during my presentation in which they pick what color they like for the next book, right? I want to know. I have 2 options up there. They get to see them. They know what the story's about, and they love that. The teacher really likes it too, whether it be the librarian or the teacher, whoever's helping me host, because they have really neat features. They have some pretty slick stuff now where they can actually go on a whiteboard that's actually on the presentation and tally up scores. And so we had a little math exercise in there too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really fun. So you've done you've done children, but then the journals aren't children, they're for adults.
Right. And
Children.
I love speaking at different organizations. If it seems like this is an activity that anybody's, particular group or organization wants to participate in, it's fun to go and encourage adults, and because they've had time to think about it, right? It's something that's been sitting there for them. The other great place that's been a lot of fun is with the Humane Society. They have different events. So Pawtoberfest, for example, these are Zuggy's popular there, but even more so the Blessed to Be Your Dog. It's fun to find those little niche places that are really interested in what I have to offer.
That sounds great. Well, let me ask you this. If you had 1 or 2 resources for writers to recommend to other writers that has helped you, what would you offer?
So I will offer I have so many different books that I've referenced through the years. I don't know that there is a particular book I would recommend, but I would recommend to find your people. And by that, there are writing groups. And I had a lot of help here in Colorado Springs. This is a very big writing community in the first place. But I started with Pikes Peak's writers, and I use them as an example because as you go to a community-based writing group, there will be people there who know about larger based organizations. And
Mhm.
they were the ones that said, oh, you want to go to the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, which is how I found that organization. And then it was really by random chance that I ended up also discovering the American Christian Fiction Writers, who has a very strong Colorado Springs based chapter that now I'm on the board of. So
Mhm.
got very involved with them. And so find your place, find your people, find people you can trust. Within all of those groups that I've mentioned, there are great critique groups. And
Mhm.
so it's very safe to offer material and to receive feedback, and then to get to read different material, which is also, helps you expand what you write by seeing what other people are writing, even if it's not your genre. um,
Right.
I have to say, I've never considered myself a romance reader, and yet I've been, I will say, subjected to, right, reading some romances because that's part of my critique group, and I love them. I'm like, I need to see the next chapter. I can't believe what's going on here. How am I interested? I've never liked romances. So it's just a matter of, allowing yourself to become familiar with different writing styles and different genres that you may not have exposed yourself to.
Yeah, and I found writers are so willing to help other writers.
Yes.
It's just, and maybe it's just in the Christian world, but I think it's probably most writers.
It's very encouraging, when you
Yeah.
when you really don't even realize sometimes that you're just going, wow, really, is anyone going to read this? Anybody? And then someone will come back and give you some inspiration and say, hey, this really touched me, this was really good. And that is, doesn't that just keep you going for
Yeah.
days? It's just great.
Yeah, it
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Jean, thank you so much for being on. And I'll be sure and put all your links that you want me to add to the video right
Okay.
below.
Very good. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. It was great meeting you, Terri.
You too. Thank you again.
Thank you.